Hey guys, welcome back to the Six Hearts on 6 Acres Kitchen. My name is Bree and we are working on a few preserving projects today. For the month of August, I have been taking part in the Every Bit Counts challenge that Three Rivers Homestead is hosting, and we have gotten a lot of food put up so far. Not quite as much actually as I would have liked, thanks to being sick and just busy, chaotic lives. But we are still working hard to make sure that we don't waste anything from the garden and that we are putting up as much food as possible. The first thing we're going to be working on are these tomato skins. These skins were left over from a canning project that we did together the other day. It was that okra, tomatoes, and peppers. If you didn't get to watch that yet, I'll put the card right up here for you to go watch that video. But if you did, you know that we had all of these skins left over from our tomatoes, and I told you to wait and see what I was going to do with them. I love being able to put these skins to use and use every bit of those tomatoes that I worked so hard to grow from seed. So I'm just going to get these tomatoes laid out flat on my dehydrator, and I'm going to let them fully dehydrate along with some basil, and then once they're completely dehydrated, I am going to blend them up in, I have like a coffee grinder that I use for my spices and seasonings. So I'm going to blend them up in that along with some salt and make a tomato basil salt that is excellent for seasoning so many things. We really like it on pizza, but you can use it on chicken. It's really good on cucumbers. I feel like it'd be really good on shrimp, although I've never tried it that way. I'm going to add that to my list. Anything that you really want to add just a little bit of extra flavor to would be perfect to use this seasoning on. I don't mind to just kind of layer my tray up a little bit. There's still some good spacing in there, plenty of room for airflow. But as these dry, they're really going to shrink up a lot, and they're so thin to start with that it's okay if they're touching or even layered just a little bit. I just went and harvested some fresh basil from the garden, so I'm going to get it laid out on a dehydrator tray as well. My 4 kids started school today. If you notice that my house is quieter than normal. My oldest daughter was going into middle school, which is just crazy to even think about that she's that old. And then my second oldest daughter is going into 4th, and then my third daughter is going into 2nd, and my baby boy is going into kindergarten. And there were definitely a few tears shed this morning. If you haven't had kids yet, I would not recommend spacing them out to where your oldest is starting middle school the same year as your youngest is starting kindergarten, because that's a little bit hard on a mama heart. But they love school, and I'm sure they're having an excellent time, even though I miss them very much. I would have them here nonstop if I were able to. We are so very blessed to be able to send them to a Christian school, and so I know that the people teaching them love Jesus and are able to instill that same love into my children every day. So I still miss them and wish that they were home with me most of the time. Although it's definitely mixed emotions, because towards the end of the summer they start wearing on my nerves a little bit, and I start looking forward to school starting to have a little bit of a break and a little bit of quiet, and for my youngest too, not to fight nonstop. But it's so funny because the day school starts, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? Like, I love having them home. That's just being a mom. My oldest was laughing at me on the way to school because I just couldn't help it. Had some tears, and I'm like, it's just a mom thing. There's literally nothing I can do about it. For these extra trays, I have some of these smoked paprikas. I have just had them in the fridge because I didn't want to run my dehydrator until it was pretty full. So I'm just gonna get them laid out on here and we will let them go in the dehydrator as well. The next thing I'm gonna work on today is this big bowl of cucumbers that my mom gave me. These are like large, overgrown, yellowing cucumbers, and I was looking for what to do with them because they're not necessarily great for just traditional pickles or a whole lot at this stage. But I came across this recipe. I have seen it before, and I even saved it on Pinterest, but it had never piqued my interest enough to actually make it. Plus, I never have a great cucumber harvest because I struggle with cucumber beetles. But I have these cucumbers, and so I got the supplies, and I am going to make Christmas pickles. If you haven't seen the recipe yet, these are pickles that take 4 days to make. You start by peeling them and chopping them to get the seeds out of the middle, and then they're going to soak in a lime solution, and that's all we're doing today. But these pickles are like cinnamon sweet pickles. I don't know. I can't decide if it sounds disgusting or if it sounds good. But I have the cucumbers, so I thought I would try and make them and just see what we think. They're seasoned with Red Hots, like the little candies that kind of burn your mouth. So I grabbed some of those from Walmart, and we are going to get this process started. My cucumbers are all peeled, so I'm going to start slicing them now. What I'm going to do is cut them in half and then slice them about 1/2 inch thick. I don't want anything super thin for these pickles. Now what we need to do next is take these seeds out. And I'm trying something. I grabbed a medicine cup. I feel like this might be faster than trying to cut them all out, but I'm not sure. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's perfect. So I grabbed the medicine cup and just pushed down, and that's how you get your little rings. Let me get a few more sliced and then I'll show you up close. Now that my pickles are all cut up, I need to mix up a solution of lime and water. I'm just using this pickling lime. I'm going to mix 2 cups with 1 gallon of water and get it all dissolved. This lime is just going to get poured over the top of these cucumbers. That just barely fit. It's really close to overflowing. We're going to move this really quickly because obviously it's not going to be able to stay on my stove for the next 24 hours. I have family that I have to cook for. I feel like I probably should have moved it before I filled it so full. So cross your fingers that I don't spill it everywhere. I don't think I spilled any, but I got it moved over here. I'm just gonna cover it up with some plastic wrap, and these cucumbers are just gonna soak here for the next 24 hours. Okay, our cucumbers are ready to hang out for 24 hours, and we will meet back here tomorrow for the next step. I literally just saw that I missed a cucumber, but there's not going to be able to fit anything else in this container, so I think we're going to save this one for dinner. Next up is going to be a garden salsa. I have this whole sink full of tomatoes and peppers. There's squash and zucchini, all kinds of goodness in here. And I am going to turn this into a kitchen sink garden sauce. So everything from the garden is just going to go into one big pot and cook down. I'm just going to start chopping. I'm on my tomatoes. I'm going to decore them, and then I'm just going to do a rough chop and into my giant stock pot. This is a really good way to use up your vegetables when your garden starts to slow down a little bit for the fall, or even in the early summer, like when you're not getting a ton at a time. This is a great way to do that. There's not a recipe. I literally just grab whatever is producing in the garden, chop it up, cook it down, and blend it into a sauce. It's always delicious. Now this recipe is not going to be safe to water bath can, because although there are tomatoes, I'm adding so many foods that are low acid, and I'm not following a safe recipe. So instead of canning this, once it's all the way cooked, I'm going to let it cool, put it into quart-sized bags, and I'm going to freeze it. I'm not going to be taking the skin off of this sauce. So when you are chopping, you want to make sure and take out any bad spots or anything that you don't want to end up in your sauce, because all of this is going to cook down and get blended up. If you ask me, there's no pasta sauce that is good unless it is loaded with garlic. So I am going to break up 2 heads of garlic, take the peels off, and throw them in the sauce as well. I just ordered my garlic to plant this year. I'm super excited. If you've been following for a while, you know last year I got burned out with my summer garden, and I did order my garlic, but I never planted it until January, and then out of the 20 to 30 cloves that I planted, I got one. Very much enjoyed that one head of garlic, but this year I'm going to make sure and plant all of them on time, which is the end of October for me here in Southwest Missouri. I use garlic in almost every single meal, so I would very much love to be able to just grow it in my garden and then grow enough to use throughout the year and then store that. This will be my first year actually growing garlic, because we're not counting last year. And so I'm not going to start off trying to grow a year's worth. But I do hope to build up to it very quickly. I think I'll grab 1 onion and add that to the pot as well. Alright, we're going to let that cook down for a few hours. I want it to cook down into a really thick, delicious, chunky sauce. So we're just going to leave it on medium-low and let it go for a while. You do want to make sure and stir it every once in a while so your tomatoes obviously don't burn to the bottom of your pot. kids are going to be very happy later. They have a huge bowl of scraps from today. The kids made it home and they're all starving, of course. Did you guys have a great first day of school?
Yeah.
What was your favorite part?
Lunch.
What about you? What was your favorite part?
Work.
Doing work? Really? What was your favorite part of school?
Chapel.
Chapel? What did you guys learn about today? You don't remember, but it was your favorite part?
Yeah.
That's pretty silly. What was your favorite part of school today?
Probably recess.
My kids love those Z-bars. We get them at Sam's Club sometimes, but they are ridiculously priced. So we're going to make some copycat ones at home for their lunch boxes and for my husband to take to work. They're super easy to make, and the kids love them. So I'm going to make a double batch. It's really easy. You just blend everything up in the food processor and bake it for 10 to 15 minutes until they're not sticky anymore. I'm going to put the recipe down in the video description if you want to make these as well.
You know, after I do it, can I help?
Sure.
You do?
Sure.
You need two portions. I mean, 3 portions help.
Okay, so we went in with 2 cups of oats, 1 cup of dried figs.
Where's the avocado?
It's over here. A 1/4 cup of cocoa. What? You gonna do it? Cocoa chocolate powder. A 1/4 cup of molasses.
Molasses smells good. It's melting.
Let me give you one more.
Oh.
1/2 cup of sugar. Two tablespoons of honey. A girl at my work sells honey, and she had some from last year that was crystallized. So I'm going to use that in this recipe. I think it'll work perfect. I don't think it'll matter that it's crystallized at all. Or don't beat on it, just like that, because honey is sticky and you don't want it on your fingers. A teaspoon of salt.
Honey is my favorite. Honey.
It's coconut oil.
I love coconut oil.
You don't even know. 2 tablespoons of coconut oil.
Coconut oil is black to beat on. Mommy, that.
A 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. And then we're just going to process this until it's smooth. We forgot 1 cup of water.
That new.
Yeah, and Nicole got it for me. Okay, hit that button again, bud. Okay, now that it is completely pureed, you want to put in another 2 cups of oats. And then you're just going to pulse it just a few times so it still has some texture to it. Here, there's plenty. You can both do it. You do too, Isaac. Dump it in.
Amy, now your turn.
No, you do one more.
I do?
Mm-hmm.
And then I do.
And then Avery gets to do it too.
Why do you need 3 cups?
Well, it's actually going to be 2 cups.
2 cups.
Mm-hmm. Just because I'm doubling the recipe. Good job.
But it's 1 cup. But then you're doubling it.
Hold on, that's not the button we're hitting this time. And Avery gets to do it this time. Avery just hit this button. Alright, and that is all we need to do. I'm going to put these ingredients up and make a little bit of room, and then we will get it spread out on our baking sheet. Oops, just realized I forgot the vanilla too, so I'm just going to put 2 teaspoons of vanilla in here. And give that another pulse real quick. I'm just going to lay some parchment paper down on my baking sheet. Give it just a little bit of spread, and then we're going to spread this mixture out until it's about a 1/2 inch thick. Just like this, and it's going to go into a 350-degree oven for 10 to 13 minutes, just until the top isn't sticky anymore. My oven is still preheating, so let's go ahead and go give the chickens all these scraps. While we're out here, let's go ahead and check for eggs. The granola bars. Alright, these are ready to come out. We're going to let them just sit here and cool off for a little while. And then once they're cool, I'm going to put a chocolate drizzle on there, chop them up, and move them to the fridge. This sauce has been cooking down for several hours now. You can tell it's reduced a ton. So I'm going to use my immersion blender and get it blended up into a smooth, a chunky-ish smooth sauce. I'm going to season this with a decent amount of salt because that is a lot of sauce, and a good sprinkle of Italian seasoning. Alright, we're going to give this a taste. Because we left the skin and seeds in there, sometimes it can get bitter, and so we would counteract that with a little bit of sugar if it is. So I just need to make sure, and of course make sure that it's seasoned well. It's very hot. It is a little bit bitter. And it still needs a little bit more salt. I like to use brown sugar in my spaghetti sauce to counteract that bitterness. You can use white sugar. You can use honey. Really whatever you want. This isn't going to make it sweet. It is just going to help get rid of that bitter taste. Alright, let's try this again. Much better.
So what are you making again?
I'm going to put a little bit more garlic in there. And when I say a little, I mean a lot. also a little bit more salt. More Italian seasoning, and then I think it will be good to go. Look, can you see how thick it is without splashing myself? The sauce is all finished now, so I'm gonna move it off of the burner and let it cool down. And once it's cool, we'll get it transferred into quart-sized bags. I put these in the fridge for about 15 minutes just to stiffen them up a little bit so I could get them cut into bars. All right. This next step is totally optional. My kids like it, so I do it. I'm gonna move these to a drying rack, and then I'm gonna drizzle the top of them with some chocolate. And there's a little crumb, perfect for a taste test. They're so good. To make the chocolate topping, all I do is take some chocolate chips, and I'm going to put them in a bowl. And then I'm gonna melt them for 30-second increments, stirring in between each one until they are silky smooth, and we'll have an easy drizzle. My chocolate chips took 30 seconds until they look like this, and you just wanna stir them. All of those chips will turn into smooth chocolate. And then I personally like to just put this chocolate into a little sandwich baggie, just because I think it makes the drizzle prettier. It's not necessary. You put as much or as little chocolate on these as you would like. I'm just gonna stick these in the fridge to let them fully set up before I get them packaged. Finally, my sauce has cooled down enough that I can get it packaged up. It's still warm, but it's 8:30 at night, and I think it is plenty cool enough that it'll be fine to go ahead and get packaged. I don't have room for this in my fridge. So I just have some quart storage bags, and I am going to fill these with the sauce, and then I will move them to my freezer. I'm going to be filling these bags in this bowl so I make as little bit of a mess as possible. All right, I'm gonna lay all of these bags on a baking sheet over here. That way I can easily transport them to my freezer because it is in my basement. I ended up with 7 quarts plus just enough left for us to make lunch with tomorrow. And I'm going to take all of these to the freezer. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in the kitchen today. We have knocked out a lot of food and gotten a ton of stuff into our freezer today. I am super looking forward to the end process of these pickles. It's still days away. Like I said, they are 4-day pickles. We got all of this sauce in the freezer. The tomato skins and the basil are still working on being dehydrated, so I will show you the finished product of those tomorrow. And we're gonna load our fridge with these delicious chocolatey but semi-healthy still granola bars for my kids. I'm gonna link my playlist, Preserving the Harvest. It's gonna have the other videos of all of the food that I've preserved all year long. If you need any ideas for stuff that you have coming out of your ears in your garden, share with me in the comments what you are canning right now, or what you're preserving, what you're freezing. I would love to know because I need ideas all of the time too. If you like watching these videos, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Share this video with a friend and make sure to meet me back here next time. Until then, may God bless.